Hello and welcome to another episode of What to Pick. This is the video series where I go over a few different starting hands and explain what I would pick and why. And today's first starting hand is two promo corps against each other, Splice and Recyclon. Usually I like Recyclon much more. I think it's the stronger corp. But let's see. We have two quite good Recyclon preludes. Both have a building tag, so that means after playing just the preludes, you immediately get a plant production for free. And the preludes are also fine. Heat production combos quite nicely with the plant production you're getting from your ability. And you can try to go for a rush in which you also play a few building tags. Let's see what our starting hand has to offer. Well, the starting hand is looking quite nicely. And it also combos quite well with the rush I just talked about. We have two great space events in Deimos Down and Towing a Comet. Deimos Down, of course, one of the best cards in the game, and Towing a Comet also really nice if you have some early plan production, because if you are ever at 4 plans, let's say in Gen 4, then you can just play Towing a Comet and get a conversion. But it won't take until Gen 4 to get to 4 plants, because you can also take restricted area here, place that maybe over here on 2 plants, and that means you will be on at 4 plants in Gen 2 instead of Gen 4. Not Gen 2, Gen 3. And it would have been Gen 5 anyways, because in Gen 1 you have 0 plants. But that's another good card for both engine and rush. Then we have two really good plant producers that get unlocked on the heat track, and that combos really nicely with our heat production. And I mean, Deimos Down will also help getting us there if we want to use it that early. And then we also have Mineral Deposit, which we could take. We don't have a building tag to follow it up with at the moment, but we should be able to find one with restricted area. And the last card you can think about here, I think, is Plantation. Maybe you could also think about Artificial Lake, because we will have steel and heat prod, but we don't have enough steel prod to make this worth a pick in your starting hand, I think. But Plantation could be interesting. It's another tile placement card, so it will help you get a conversion. And because it places a greenery itself, it really helps on a Gardener, which of course is a milestone on Tharsis. The problem is that we only have one science tag, and we are not that rich. If we keep 7 here, though, we end up with 17 MC, which means that's enough to play restricted area and draw. And because everything else in our starting hand doesn't need to be played in Gen 1, I think it's fine picking up Plantation and using up 3 more MC to buy this card. We just hope we find another good science tag. Something like Mars U would be optimal, of course. And then Plantation can be really handy in a Gardener fight. I see absolutely no reason to pick Splice here. We have no microbe tags, no combo potential for this. And it looks like quite a good Recyclon hand with these two preludes. Of course, Metals Company I consider an S tier prelude, but in this situation, Morehole and Polar Industries just combo really well with the corp. So I think this starting hand is quite good and kind of picks itself. So yeah, I think we can move on to hand number 2. Next up, we are playing on Hellas, and this time we have the decision between two prelude corporations. The first game was with Venus Next, but it didn't really matter because we haven't seen any Venus cards in the starting hand. This is without it, so it's only base game and preludes. And both of these corps are great. I like Valley Trust more. I think it's more exciting to play. But Cheung Shing Mars could also be the right pick here. Let's see. Polar Industries again. Not nearly as good on Hellas, because Hellas is not as good for Rush. And the ocean spots are just not as good as on Tharsis. But Supply Drop and Orbital Construction Yard can be really nice. Maybe we have a big titanium dump on our starting hand, like Asteroid Mining. Then these would be 2 top tier preludes, but let's see. Oh, okay. AI Central, that's why I was laughing. Sadly, Valley Trust does give you a science discount, but it doesn't have a science tech itself. So it does not help with getting AI Central down. But the rest of the hand also looks kind of interesting. So Big Asteroid and Hired Raiders are generically good cards that we could basically always keep. Noctis City is quite nice. Mining Rights is a really good card that you should probably always keep in your starting hand. Question here remains, do we keep Valley Trust? There's a lot of building tax on the starting hand, like SF Memorial, Noctis City, AI Central, Mining Rights, Nuke Power, also tax stress, but you wouldn't want to keep that. So all of these building tax mean maybe you would like to keep Cheung Mars here instead of Valley Trust, but you need to remember that number one priority on the starting hand is get AI Central down. There's not a lot of rush potential on the starting hand, and AI Central is probably the best and most influential engine card in the game, so you want to get this down as soon as possible. And Valley Trust is much better for that. Why? Because Valley Trust grants you another prelude, a third prelude, and if you get lucky and one of your 3 preludes is Research Network, you will have a much easier time to get AI Central down, because not only does it have a wild tech itself, it also allows you to draw 3 cards, which also could be science tags. So I would say we'll go with Valley Trust here. We won't keep all of the building tags that we don't need. I think we can skip SF Memorial. Maybe we can skip Noctis City as well, because it doesn't have the same utility as Antharsis. Yes, you can freely place it on Hellas, but in general, city placement spots are not as great on Hellas, and we will not have enormous amounts of steel prot on the starting hand. But we'll keep mining rights, of course. I'm debating Callisto Penal Mines, because we will have a lot of titanium on the starting hand, and we could use it to play Callisto Penal Mines and get a little bit of an economy going. And then Big Asteroid, I think, is nearly always worth a keep, no matter which strategy you're going for. It just has a lot of utility. Hired Raiders is great. Nuke Power, we can debate. It's if we only need power for AI Central, then it's more expensive than a standard project, and we might still find better power even on our prelude. That could be possible. So I think I want to skip it here. I would probably go with this. Again, Nuke Power can be debated. Noctis City can be debated. I would probably keep it relatively lean, and Callisto Penal Mines can be debated as well. Maybe you just want to keep your titanium for a big asteroid later, or you find a better space tag. Probably it's just these 4 cards, and then we hope we draw into more science tags with our third prelude. But let's see what our third prelude is, because typically when we pick Valley Trust in what to pick videos, we also take a look at the third prelude. So the AI plays Metals Company, which is a really bad prelude for Robinson. And Power Generation, which is a good prelude on Hellas. We then play our 2 preludes, get a big amount of starting capital going. AI gets Optimal Error Breaking Down and Wife. Makes absolutely no sense to play Wife immediately. And then we'll take a look. I think it's a toss-up between Aquifer Turbines and Experimental Forest. Aquifer Turbines offers power production, which can be used to get AI Central down. And we can draw a card if we place the ocean here on the card spot. Experimental Forest is better in my opinion in general. Helps with Polar Explorer, might help with Tactician. I would probably keep Experimental Forest, because we are far away from getting AI down, because we have no science text so far. We probably don't have to worry about the power port yet. So let's take Experimental Forest, place that down here. We get 2 really good plant tags, honestly. Algae is a good mid-game plant producer. Trees is a good late-game plant producer. So I'm happy with those. Windmills is not that great of a card to draw. Sadly, no science tech. So the Valley Trust gamble for AI Central did not really pay off. But in the end, we also didn't keep that many building tags. So Changqing Mars wouldn't have been that great anyways. Of course, it has generically better economy because of the EMC prod. But yeah, you basically now want to play mining rights also down here on titanium. So you have a really good, you're in a really good position for a Polar Explorer. And then you probably want to pass and see if you get any science text in the draft. So it's an alright start, not amazing. If you had gotten more science text, then it would be pretty amazing. But yeah, let's move on to hand number 3. And lastly, we have another Venus game. And lastly, we have another Venus game. This time we're playing on Elysium. It's Teractor or Celestic. Teractor, generically much more powerful, so let's pick it for now. Not the best preludes for Teractor, because there's Loan, which is really bad. You probably never want to pick this with any corporation, especially not Teractor, because you have enough starting capital already. But that's also the problem for the other 3 preludes, which all grant you mainly starting capital. The 2 generically best ones are Metal Rich Asteroid and Supply Drop, and they both also have a little bit of extra utility. Metal Rich Asteroid with a temperature bump and Supply Drop with 3 plants. So let's pick these 2. Alright, there's no reason to pick Celestic here. We have no floater cards in the starting hand. We definitely pick Protected Taps. We can get that down immediately, protect the 3 plants we get from Supply Drop. Other than that, energy tapping is probably always a keep on a starting hand. Power plant is also a really good power production card. You can take Sister Planet support because it's discounted, but we are missing the Venus tag for now. Space elevator, easy to get down because we have that much titanium, and we also have immediate steel to sell. Just don't spend that much steel on it. So because we don't have any steel prod, you don't want to run out of your starting steel. So you always have something to sell for this. Big Asteroid is a good card. As I said, I think on the last hand, this is just a card that has a lot of utility. You probably always want to keep it on your starting hand. You could think about Livestock, but we're on Elysium, where there's no eccentric, so it's not as good as on Hellas. And yeah, the animal tech doesn't really matter for ecologists, for example, because it comes down too late. Mining Expedition, not a particularly great card. GHG import from Venus is really bad, just too expensive for what it does. Thinking about Black Polar Dust, because we don't have that much to do. We play Space Elevator and that's it in Gen 1. We could also play Black Polar Dust to have at least some heat control. I actually like that. It's not like it doesn't combo particularly well with Space Elevator, which is more of an engine card, but heat control is quite important, and yeah, it helps with Generalist, for example. Although it also reduces your MC prod. So if you don't get Sister Planet support or any other MC production card online soon, then it actually hinders you on Generalist. But still, I think it's alright. So I'd probably keep these 7 cards. As I said, there's no reason to pick Celestic. There's no reason to pick any other preludes here. So the prelude and Corp decision was really easy. And then you just open with Protected Tabs. You play Space Elevator, Celestial. You play Black Polar Dust, probably on plants, because then you will be at 5 plants. So a few more tile placements or a bit of early plant prod. And you can actually start converting around here, where you have really good conversion spots. So yeah, it's a serviceable hand. Teractor is a good corp. Some of the starting project cards and preludes are good. So I think it's okay. So yeah, that was this. That was it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely let me know in the comments whether you had decided differently in these starting hands. And yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.